wanted to show you how to dry prep your natural nails for gel application or for your custom press-on nails. Dry prep just means that you will not be using any products like a cuticle remover or warm water, and you will only be using your tools at hand. Properly prepping the nails is a fundamental step when applying product and is key for proper application, which helps your product last longer as well. I will be showing you two techniques to do this, the first being manually using a cuticle pusher, and the second technique being mechanically using your e-file and e-file bits. To do this manually, you will need a cuticle pusher, of course. I do recommend using one that has a side that has a scraper. This facilitates the removal process done by hand. If you do not have a pusher, you can use an orange wood stick. Now, if you don't have either of these tools, you can find them easily on Amazon. Now, for those of you who would like to do this with an e-file, you will of course need an electric file. So the one that I'm using here is the Erica's ATA ProTech T300, which goes up to 30,000 RPMs. You will also need cuticle bits. The ones that I will be using are from the Erica's ATA Classic Dry Mani Kit, which includes the cuticle shiver, the diamond sphere, and the micro taper bits. And these are all medium grit bits, safe for cuticle use. When doing this manually, you want to make sure that you are holding your pusher at the right angle. So you shouldn't hold it like this, flush to the nail. You also should not hold the pusher at too high of an angle either. The right way to do this is to hold your pusher at approximately a 45-degree angle from your nail plate without putting too much pressure on the natural nail. What I like to do is start at one of the side walls using the side of my pusher. Notice that I hold the skin back with my index finger and support my right hand with my pinky. That way there won't be any slips that can cause any damage. Without applying too much pressure, slowly and firmly push the cuticle away from the nail plate, lifting the dead skin off of the natural nail. When you do this, you should complete each step on all 10 nails before going to the next step. Since I'm just showing you this on one nail, I am going to go ahead and move on to the next step. Use the opposite side of the pusher to gently scrape off any lifted cuticle using a front to back motion, and again applying little to no pressure and really letting the tool do all of the work. If you run into a stubborn section of cuticle, you can definitely apply a little bit more pressure, but not too much so that you cause damage. When doing this, you'll notice how easy it is to remove any sticky cuticle from the nail plate, as well as any cuticle left under the nail fold that you may not have seen before just by pushing them back. The next step of doing this manually is to remove any lifted cuticle. So I'm using my Cuticle Nippers. You can get them on Amazon if you don't have them already. These ones are the gel bottle ink nippers. They are for professionals only. I specifically like these ones because of their sharp edge and how slim the handle is. It's very easy for me to use, and they're very high quality, which does help me also not make mistakes and have to put too much pressure onto the natural nail or onto the skin and possibly cause bleeding. So I start on the side and I scrape the plates of my nippers on the side of my nail to lift any unwanted dead cuticle. So I do this very gently with minimal amount of pressure to go ahead and scrape off the remaining bits of cuticle. Once you've gone ahead and done that, you can go ahead and continue around the remainder of the nail. The next clip was way too blurry for me to edit, unfortunately, so I will just explain verbally. So don't cut any live tissue. Anything that appears very white and chalky, you can definitely cut, but you don't want to draw blood. So if anything hurts or stings, you definitely know that that is your sign to stop because you've gone too far. So once that's done, I go ahead and reevaluate and see what's left on the nail plate. I'm definitely not shy to go back in with the pusher and with the scraper to remove any skin that's still left behind. So if I've gone ahead and removed the first layer, there may still be some skin left behind on the nail plate, and we definitely want to remove as much as we can. So I will go back in 1 or 2 times if needed with the pusher and with the scraper and gently remove anything that's left behind. Right here, there's a little piece of skin that I need to nip off. It's kind of on the fold area. So I will go ahead with my nippers and nip that off. When using your nippers, it is important to make sure that you are using them at the correct angle, just to make sure that you're not clipping your skin with the bottom edge of the blade. So you want to make sure that you're using the tip of the nipper and applying little to no pressure to make sure you're not drawing any blood. So this is the angle I'll show you very quickly here. You want to make sure you're using the tip of the nipper just to go in and clip any dead skin that remains on the nail plate or lifted off of the skin. For those of you using an e-file, I start with the Erica's ATA micro taper bit, and this is a medium grit e-file bit. So first thing I do is start in the middle of the nail and go down the right side of the nail. And right here I'm just showing you without having my e-file on. So when you're doing this, you want to do one side on all 10 nails. So in this case, I'm only doing 4 nails to show you. So I'm going to do it on all 4 nails before putting my e-file off, putting it in reverse, and then continuing on the opposite side wall. So right now I'm going to turn my e-file on in the forward motion, and really I'm bringing it up to about 30,000 RPM. So it does depend on the thickness of the cuticle left behind. Usually I put it up to 3/4 of the way, or really all the way up to the 30,000 RPMs. And again, I start in the middle of the nail and I work my way to the outer edge and all the way down. And I'm applying no pressure. I'm letting the bit do all of the work, and I'm working in light feather-like strokes to ensure that I'm not burning through the nail or causing any damage or any discomfort. Now, when I do this, you'll notice right along that side there, you can see the chalkiness of the nail left behind after I've used my e-file. That's where I've actually put the bit down against the nail. So this bit in particular is okay to use on the entire nail to prep the nail, because with some products, when you're using gel, for example, you do have to etch the nail to ensure proper adhesion. So you can do that with this bit, but notice that I'm not doing that all over the entire nail constantly, because that will cause damage. So really I'm focusing on the cuticle, and then when I want to go in and etch, I'll go in very lightly and go over the surface, the entire surface of the nail with the e-file bit. So right here, I'm just demonstrating that I'm going to put my e-file in reverse and go down the opposite side wall the same way I did the first time on the right side wall. Now, of course, my head got in the way and messed up my focus, so I'm just going to skip this clip, but know that you will repeat these steps for the opposite side wall on all 10 nails, and that would be before going on to the next step that you're about to see. So now I'm going to remove the micro taper from the barrel. First, I always dust off any dust, because you don't want any dust or any debris getting into the barrel of your e-file. It can cause the calibration to be off, and you will have to send it in for fixing or for servicing. So I will take that off and set it aside, and I'll go ahead and put in the shiver bit, again from Erica's ATA, and I'll put it in my barrel, lock it, and make sure that it is secured in there. Now, this is the exact same thing that I've done in the past clips, except I just will be using a different bit. So this really gets into the side walls, whereas the first one, you mostly push back the cuticle with that one. This one really goes in and removes all of that chalky white that you see here. So again, starting on forward and either 3/4 to all the way up on your e-file, and you will go in and do the right side of your nail on all nails before going in and switching to reverse. Again, using very light feather-like strokes, no pressure, and letting the e-file and the bit do all of the work. That way you're ensuring to not cause any damage or any rings of fire on yourself or on your client. So once you've completed that side, you can put your e-file in reverse and do the opposite side wall. Again, I'm so sorry, but my head got in the way and messed up the focus. I apologize. Please be easy on me. This is the first time doing this, and obviously I'm not very good at it, so I will learn for next time. But yeah, go ahead and do the opposite side on all nails. In this case, I will complete these 4 nails, and then I will move on to the next step. Now at this step, I will go ahead and take my dusting brush and I will remove any of the dust left on my nail by the cuticle bits. And we'll move on to removing any leftover skin with my pusher and with my nippers. So I'll go in and just scrape like I showed you in the first part of this video to do this manually. Just scrape alongside the sides. It can lift any gunked up cuticle that's stuck underneath the nail fold or alongside the side of the nail. Again, I apologize for my big head. The next step I do is I go in with my cuticle nippers and I remove any skin that I need to cut on the nail fold. Anything that I've lifted with my bits, I will go ahead and just lightly nip off. Again, I'm sorry for the head and all of that dry shampoo. So just do that on all nails to remove any lifted skin, any hangnails left over that you weren't able to get with your e-file, and do it very gently so that you are ensuring that you're not going to cause any bleeding, and just continue doing that on all nails until you're ready for the next step. Here I'm demonstrating a very satisfying cuticle removal. I like removing the cuticles in one big stroke, so this really ensures that you're not causing micro tears in the skin, causing hangnails, and you're really removing that cuticle in a very satisfying way. And I'll show you as well what it looks like once it's been completely detached off of the live tissue. So satisfying. So good, right? I know. Okay, let's move on. As you can see right there in the corner, I have some skin that isn't quite on the nail plate and is kind of attached inside underneath my nail fold. So I don't want to go in with my nippers because I'm scared that I'm going to cut too deep and hurt myself. So what I'll do is push the cuticle back so that I can see really where that skin is attached. And I'm seeing here that really it is attached underneath the nail fold, and a little portion of it is against the actual nail plate. So again, I'm not able to do this manually with my cuticle nipper or with my pusher, so I will go ahead and take a e-file bit. This I did not mention at the beginning, so take note now that in this case I will use a flame bit. So this is an e-file flame bit that I got off of Amazon. It is a medium coarse bit, and I will use this just to lift that little section that's causing me a little bit of trouble. So at this point, when I'm happy with my cuticles, I will dust them off to make sure there's no dust left over, and I'll dehydrate my nail plate. So what I used to do is take a nail wipe and saturate it with acetone and alcohol, and then I'll go over the nail and rub it and make sure that there's no debris and no oil left on the nail plate, completely dehydrating it, making it ready for application. But what I do now, and I find that this is so much easier, is I take a nail brush and I dip it into some alcohol. And I'll go over the nail plate area and just scrape underneath the nail fold with the bristles very lightly. And that ensures that any debris left over that was hiding has been removed, and I'll go underneath the nail as well. It just makes it so much easier to use a nail brush, and I'll dehydrate the nail as well as remove any leftover dust. So normally after you've gone and done the last step of dehydrating your nail, you can go ahead and apply your product. This is just the last step that I like to do after my product has been applied. So I know at the beginning of the video I said I was going to use this sphere from Erica's ATA. Although I realize that I do like using this particular bit. It is a little bit softer and doesn't disrupt the remainder of the cuticle to remove and polish the cuticle. So it really just is a finishing touch. And I got this one on Amazon. I will definitely link it in the description below. And to do this, I first applied cuticle oil. So I'm going to be using the NAF Stuff cuticle oil. This is the Sleepy Collection mint and eucalyptus scent. I absolutely love this cuticle oil. And what I'll do is I'll just apply this lightly onto the nail or above the nail onto the cuticle, and I will make sure that it has been evenly distributed, and I'll go in with the cuticle bit. So here I have put the cuticle bit into my e-file. I've turned my e-file on about 3/4 up, and I've put it onto forward motion, and I will lightly go over the cuticle all the way up the finger if I need to. I usually get some little hangnails around that area, so I'm just refining and polishing that area lightly and going in on each nail to polish as a last and final step. This really is extra. You don't need to do this, especially if you don't have an e-file. It's really not too important. It just does give a nice finished look to the nails. Once you've done all nails, you can go in and put your e-file in reverse and do the same thing on the opposite side. So sometimes going over that area, having your e-file in forward doesn't really polish as well. So I will go back in very lightly again and go in reverse mode and make sure that I'm polishing the sidewall and any area that's prone to getting hangnails. So once that's done, I'll go in with a dry nail wipe and I will absorb any oil left over. This will also remove any skin that was lifted from that polishing step. So that's it, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that this was helpful. If you guys have any comments or suggestions, please comment down below or send me a message via social media. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!